Beautiful. So welcome, Silver Sirens. Welcome to Move More and Feel Better. I'd like to introduce our wonderful facilitators, Anne Tiedemann and Betty Ramsey. Over to you, Anne and Betty.
Thanks very much, Faith. I'm just going to share my screen. Okay, so hopefully you can all see that okay?
Yeah, that's good, Anne.
I'm just going to remove that. Okay. Okay, so yes, thank you very much for having us here today. We're really, it's a great pleasure to be talking to you about this topic that we're very passionate about. So before I start, I'd just like to acknowledge that I'm also coming to you from the lands of the Gadigal people of the Eora Nation, and I pay my respects to elders past and present. So I'm really passionate about improving the lives of older people through supporting them to be more active. And I hope by the end of my talk, I will have sparked some passion in you to become more active as well. So I'm located at the University of Sydney in the Institute for Musculoskeletal Health, and we're a research group of around 36 people. We've come from a range of backgrounds, but mostly physiotherapy, exercise physiology, and health promotion. And our research focuses on mobility and falls, and healthy aging and disability. So we really aim to reduce the global epidemic of physical inactivity. That's our focus. So why do we care about physical activity? Well, I'm sure you'd all agree that physical activity is good for our physical and our mental health, and the benefits are numerous. So there's very few negative side effects from being more active. And so just a few of the amazing benefits of being more active. It reduces the risk of many chronic conditions and medical conditions. So things like stroke, diabetes, heart disease. It can reduce the risk of several cancers, such as colon cancer and breast cancer. And also we know that in the falls area, exercise is very important for reducing the risk of falling as we get older. But there's also things that it promotes. So it promotes social connection, it promotes concentration, it promotes better sleep, it promotes community, and it promotes strength and balance so that we can live more independently as we get older. So the range of benefits are amazing, and we need to remember that there's short-term benefits as well as longer term. So it's not just about reducing the risk of disease in 10 years' time, but it's about feeling better today and tomorrow and getting through your day more easily and being more happy. So a little bit more of the stats you can see on the screen here. The reduction in the health risks from physical activity are really significant. So you can see on the screen here, things like a 40% reduction in cognitive decline, for example, from being more active. So it really is a good investment in our health, both now and into the future. So I want to just share a couple of bits of research evidence about the benefits of physical activity. And this study that I've got on the screen here was a longitudinal study where around 2,500 people were followed up over around 15 years. And what they did, the researchers measured their level of physical activity at the beginning of the study, where they wore pedometers to measure the number of steps that were taken. And then they followed these people up for a few years, and they wore the pedometers again at year 3 to see whether they had changed their step count in that time. And then overall they looked at who died within the 15-year time frame. What they found was that people who increased their steps from only 1,000 at baseline to 10,000 by the 3rd year, they had a 46% reduction in the risk of early death in that follow-up period. So that was a significant benefit. But importantly, they found that people who increased their steps from just 1,000 to 3,000, so not up to that 10,000 level that we're often told to aim for, they also had a significant reduction of 12% in the risk of early death. So this really shows that even if we make small changes to the amount of physical activity that we do, we can have this significant benefit in terms of living longer. But it's also important for us to live better. So we want to live a long time, but we want to have those later years of our life in good health and in good function. And so this other piece of research that was conducted in Australia also looked at a longitudinal research study where they followed women up over many years. And what they found here was that women in middle age who were more active, when they got to their older years, they were more physically able and more independent still. So they didn't reach this, what's called a disability threshold. They took longer to reach that level of disability. And it actually found that they could delay the onset of disability by up to 15 years if they had been more active in their middle age years. So again, it's showing that what we do now has benefits for us in the long term, as well as those short-term benefits I also spoke about. So we've got all of this evidence about the benefits of physical activity, and yet the world is struggling to be more active and to reach the levels that we know to be really beneficial for maximising our health. Unfortunately, in Australia, around half of older adults are not active enough to gain the maximum benefits for their health. And we know that physical inactivity contributes around 5.3 million deaths per year. We know that physical inactivity has similar importance as a modifiable risk factor for chronic disease as things like obesity and tobacco. And we also know it comes at a huge economic cost. So we've got this issue of physical inactivity, and it's actually been recognised by the World Health Organization. So this really places it at a high importance on the global agenda. And so the WHO released the Global Action Plan on Physical Activity a couple of years back. And really this was a push to change how things are going in the world and to try and develop solutions to this problem. And so what the Global Action Plan did was identified 4 objective areas that can be targeted to create a more active world. And these include creating active societies, active environments, active people, and active systems. So the importance of this global action plan is that it recognises that physical inactivity is not just an individual problem. It's not just about people needing to change their behaviour. It's about the systems that we live under to change. It's about better environments that are conducive to physical activity. And it's about health professionals, for example, promoting physical activity. So we need multiple strategies to address this issue. Our research, though, focuses on the individual and how we can help support people to have the tools to change their behaviours and to become more active over the longer term. So we have clear evidence also about the amount and type of physical activity that's recommended to benefit our health. And so the World Health Organization also released global guidelines in 2020, and these are really good at guiding that amount of activity we should aim for. And so overall, for older adults, the recommendations are that all older adults should undertake regular physical activity. The recommendations say that in terms of aerobic physical activity, we should be aiming for 150 to 300 minutes a week of moderate intensity activity. And this is activity that increases your heart rate, your breathing rate, and warms you up. So something that's a little bit strenuous, that's what we would call moderate. So brisk walking, for example. Or you can undertake vigorous intensity activity of a lesser amount, so 75 to 150 minutes per week. In addition, it's recommended that older adults undertake muscle strengthening activities on at least 2 days of the week for all the major muscle groups. And we know this is really important for maintaining our function and being able to do our daily activities and get out and reach our goals more broadly for our lives. And then finally, it's important to do functional balance and strength training to maximise our balance and strength so that we have a lower risk of falling. And so this is recommended to be done on 3 days of the week. In addition, it's important to limit sedentary time. So try to limit the amount of time you spend sitting and not moving, and try to replace sedentary time or sitting time with physical activity of any intensity. So it could be low intensity activity. And for younger adults, so for adults under 65, the recommendations are those two that are in the red box here on the screen. So the aerobic activity and muscle strengthening. But we would actually say that the functional balance and strength training is important in the younger age group as well, in the middle age group. So now I just wanted to show you this short video that really illustrates well the message of the guidelines around every move counts. So sit back and relax and enjoy this. There you go. It's a nice video, isn't it? Okay. All right, so I'm just going to turn your attention to falls now, because falls is one area of research that we do a lot of research in. And this is because it's so important to prevent falls if we're to age healthily. And so unfortunately, falls are very common in older age. We know that around 1 in 3 people who are in the community will fall at least once a year once they reach 65. And this rate's higher for people living in residential care. And also it's common for older people to fall when in hospital. And so, you know, many of us would have experienced a fall, either ourselves or known a family member or a friend who's fallen. And so we can recognise the devastating consequences that falls can have. And falls don't just happen to frail older people. So the faces that you can see here on the screen are all faces of famous Australians who unfortunately suffered falls recently, and actually the fall then led to them passing away. So falls can result in serious consequences and even death. So unfortunately, falls don't gain a lot of recognition in the public sphere. We don't talk about them very much, even though they're a significant issue in older age. And really what we need to recognise is that, like I said, they're not only happening to frail older people. These people on our screen were all very active, still contributing to society, still very active members of society. And unfortunately, they had falls and then died. And so we need to really focus on prevention of falls, preventing that first fall from happening. And so I'll talk a little bit more now about how we can do that. A few more stats. So we know that falls are very common. They cost a lot of money in terms of hospitalizations. But really what's important is that they are preventable. And what we have is now World Falls Prevention Guidelines. So we have clear guidance on how to prevent falls and how to manage falls when they do occur. And so what's key is actually exercise. And so what we know in the falls area is we have a large amount of evidence. So this is a Cochrane review that my colleagues and I conducted a few years ago, which is where we gather all the evidence together and summarise what it says in terms of exercise for preventing falls. And we found that overall exercise can prevent around 23% of falls, but it must challenge balance. So in this regard, we need to be getting people standing up, moving their centre of mass, minimising upper limb support, and narrowing the base of the support. So bringing the feet closer together and really challenging the balance. And that's how we improve balance and reduce the risk of falling. So it's really important that we try to be including that type of exercise into our daily or our weekly routines. So I'm going to now turn to a little bit more about our research. So we conduct research across a number of different projects. So we focus on community dwellers. We've got some projects that are currently looking, as Faith mentioned, we've got the Active Women Over 50 project. We're also focusing on dance and home-based exercise. We also conduct exercise to help health professionals to promote physical activity in their daily practice. And we focus on health services such as hospitals, and we've got a few projects which have looked at preventing falls in hospital and also preventing falls and promoting physical activity in residential aged care. So that's a snapshot of the types of programs that we do. But I'm just going to focus now a bit on the Active Women Over 50 project. And so the way this project came about was that we identified that women in middle age often are juggling many different responsibilities, whether that's a carer for their children or their parents or friends and other loved ones. They often have huge work demands, and this can make it really difficult for women to maintain their health and to be active. So often they're thinking of everybody else and not themselves. And so we found out that actually giving tailored support is really important in terms of supporting women in this cohort to be more active. And so we've done some pilot work testing out this approach, and I'm going to leave it for Betty to explain a bit more about the intervention. But really, we're now conducting this large trial where we're testing the effectiveness of this online information and support program and whether it's effective in increasing physical activity in women aged 50 plus. So we're recruiting a large sample of people across New South Wales. So we're recruiting 1,000 people all up, and we've already had around 300 sign up. And so it's been really amazing to see how positive it is so far. But what I wanted to show you now is a short video of one of the participant stories that we have on our website that's trying to motivate other women to be more active and give them some tips on how to do that. So we'll just play this video now.
My name is Blóithín Lennon and I'm a visual artist. I work predominantly in paper clay, porcelain, but I like to incorporate other materials as well. So I work with fibres and wool, and I do some felting and I do some stitch work. I'm a grandmother to 4. I live with my son and his partner and 4 very small grandchildren. When I was 21, I was in a car accident that was pretty bad. I was smashed up quite badly, my left side, and I had a very complicated fracture to my femur that didn't mend itself. So those complex issues have hugely affected my ability to stay going, to stay fit, to stay active. And finding the water was how I came about to come back to life. So 2-3 times a week I go to the pool, and I find that I can do the hydrotherapy in the pool. My daughter-in-law comes with me and she is just super at motivating me. When I come out, I feel totally energized. I feel totally worthy. I feel I have done something for myself. So on the day that I can't face going to the pool, I will say to my daughter-in-law, you need to kick me. You need to give me the shove. And she'll say, come on. Women over 50 don't have the confidence to do it. They know they should. When you become more mature, your body is different, your mindset is different, and you feel judged, and you feel as if you don't fit into the space. I used to hate looking at myself in the mirror and hate wearing where I was weight-wise. But I have to own the space. I have to live in the skin right now. Because if I wait until I'm the perfect size or the perfect shape in the perfect body to go swimming, I'll be dead. Water suits me. It doesn't suit me to go in a bathing suit, but I can go in my leggings and my t-shirt. Start slowly, find your fit. It doesn't have to be the gym. It doesn't have to be walking. It could be the pool. There's always a fit for you at whatever level you're at right now. For me, movement is what brings the light in. And For me, movement is the pool, it's the water, and that's how I bring the light into my body, into my life.
I hope you found that inspiring. It's just, yeah, great message there about finding what works for you, I think. And so I just wanted to finish now with a couple of websites and resources that you might find helpful. So this is the screenshot of the Safe Exercise at Home website. And this is really focused on resources and guidance around physical activity, depending on the level that you're at now. So this website was put together actually at the beginning of the COVID lockdowns by a group of expert physiotherapists in Australia. And so this is a nice way of finding some tips about being more active. You can have a look at, there's different levels of home exercise that you can choose depending on what level of function you're at the moment. And there's also inspiring stories on this website as well. So check it out if you're interested. And this is a screenshot of the different levels of exercise that you can choose to do at home. Similarly, there's the Active and Healthy website. So this is funded by New South Wales Health, and it's a directory of physical activity opportunities for people aged 50 and over. And it's searchable by postcode. So you can put in your postcode and the distance that you're willing to travel, and it will come up with a list of physical activity opportunities that are in your local area. And you can also search by exercise programs that are targeting preventing falls. So that's another option to have a look at. And so just my take-home messages, really it's about getting in the habit of being more active. And I think trying to be active on most, if not every day of the week is really helpful in terms of setting up that habit and that routine. And seeing movement as an opportunity to boost your health rather than an inconvenience. And really, exercise is medicine. We hear that all the time, but it really is. And if it was in a pill, we'd all be taking it every day. And so I urge you to get out there and explore what being more active can do for you. It is difficult to change our behaviour. There's a lot of different, things that are taking our time every day and our attention, but the benefits are really worth it. So it's worth the effort to make the change. And I'd just like to acknowledge the funding that supports our research, my amazing study participants, our research staff, my collaborators, and my lovely parents for inspiring me to be active. Thanks for your time. I'll stop sharing now.
And I just wanted to say, if anyone noticed the picture of a woman doing a handstand, that was in fact Anne doing the handstand. We're not suggesting it's good for everyone. And just wondering if there are any questions from, before I talk more about the program, the Active Women Over 50, are there any questions at all for Anne? Yeah, one from Jill.
Thank you. And thanks, Anne, for a great talk.
Thanks.
I was wondering, so I am now 73, and among my friends from school, at this stage, there start to be a number of health issues.
Mm.
One of them, a retired GP who's had a fall with fractured vertebrae and various things, but she now has diabetes. She said, on those rainy days when it's hard to get out for a walk or a swim or whatever, what about marching on the spot? And I was wondering what you thought of marching on the spot.
Yeah, why not? I think it's a great idea.
Yeah.
And if you're marching on the spot and lifting your feet high, you're getting a bit of a balance challenge as well. As long as you stand nearby to a support in case you lose your balance. You don't want to actually fall while you're doing the activity. But yeah, I think it's a great idea. And you could put on some music, or you could watch a program on TV while you do it. So it's not as boring. So yeah, finding ways to do something, whatever the weather or wherever you are, is really important to create that habit. Yeah,
Thank you.
idea.
And maybe if I could suggest, Jill, and actually, Jill, I wanted to mention, I could see you are being active during the presentation there, and I'm thinking it looked like maybe a bit of, have you got pedals, a bit of cycling?
No, well, you see, I've got a family history of early heart disease. So my mother and my mother and my brother both had heart attacks at 42 and bypasses through, and my brother's now 70. I have always been very physically active and taken the lipid lowering, blah, blah, blah. But it caught up with me, not with a heart attack, thank goodness. I injured my right medial meniscus, which tore spontaneously. So for the last year, I'd not been able to walk, and noticed the repetitions on the leg extension machine. I could only do 5 without feeling tired. So I went and had the checkup, and I've just, on the 15th of July, I had 2 stents. So I'm in cardiac rehab at the SAN, which is very good. And on my alternate days, I'm just looking at simple, practical ways, because my knee is going well. It's it's good. So sorry, I don't want to make it about me, but that I'm just looking at those opportunities to have little bits of exercise through the day on the off days to the rehab.
Great, Jill. I was going to mention as well, perhaps for you, for others, for your GP friend, there's a great website, yes2next.com. So it's yes, the digit 2, next.com. And that's a wonderful website, whether it's free, there's loads of videos. It's a woman called April, who's from New York, moved to, I think, Arizona. And she and her mother, I think April's in her 50s, her mother's probably in her 80s. And they have these great exercise videos where her mother is doing a sort of adapted form of what she's doing. And there's a lot of walking on the spot. There's things that say, in this you will get, 3,000 steps, or in this you will get such and such. And they have really good exercises. And I've looked at quite a few. I've done quite a few of them. And I think they're well tailored to suit people of varying abilities. So
thank you, Billy. That's great. Thank you.
Pleasure. Thanks.
I've just shared that link here. I've just shared that link. So anyone else interested, just grab it.
Okay. And also I can see the from Julie and someone earlier, Robin, interested in the Active Women Over 50 program, which I'm going to talk about now. But were there any other questions from Anne's presentation? I think not, so we'll continue. I just wanted to say that Anne is a professor, and she is the lead investigator on this study. I'm not an academic, I'm a research physiotherapist and health coach. And Anne and her colleagues apply for grants. Sometimes it takes many applications to be successful to win a grant. And the grant for the Active Women Over 50 has come from the Medical Research Futures Fund. And I looked this up last night, Anne, and I didn't really know what it was about, and saw that, except that they gave us a lot of money to run these studies that are really needed in ways that we can help people. And it was set up, I think, 2015. And so it's an investment. It's now up to $22 billion in the investment fund, and the interest from the fund pays for important health and medical research projects. So we're really grateful to the MRFF to have won this grant, and sometimes put in 4 or 5 grant applications. It's quite a tedious and lengthy process, and I'm really fortunate to work with the team where these grants are what keep me employed and help us bring these programs to people. So I'd just like to talk a little bit more about the Active Women Over 50 study. And before I start, I had a quick chat with Faith before we started today. And I know I met Faith for the first time, and her friend Jackie at the Silver Sirens Day at the Museum of Contemporary Art in Sydney last year. And Faith has talked about swimming, that she goes at 6 o'clock in the morning. She lives at Coogee. And her friend Jackie, they talked about it, and Faith asked, would she like to come with her? And I think Jackie was surprised that Faith followed it through. And Jackie at first wouldn't come if the weather was bad, or maybe Faith, do you want to talk about it? It's your story.
No, I think you're doing just well.
All right, I'll keep going. So Faith, knew that Jackie wouldn't come if the weather was bad or the seas were too high, and Faith said, look, let's just go every morning. So at 6 o'clock every morning, they go together through the year, through winter, and it's really inspiring to hear the difference it can make. So some people prefer to exercise alone, but if you don't have to be doing things as extreme as swimming in the ocean in winter, or some of you are probably not near the ocean, but just nice to hear what gets people going and keeps them going. So I'm going to share my screen now. I'd like to first of all acknowledge I live in the beautiful Blue Mountains. I'm up in Blackheath. And I'd like to acknowledge the traditional owners of the land, the Darug and Gundungara people, and pay my respects to elders past and present, and to emerging leaders, and to anyone here who may be from Aboriginal culture and community. So I'll just share my screen. Okay. Can someone tell me, can you see that? The big slide, move more, feel better. Yeah, you got it. Good. Okay. So I'm a physiotherapist. I've been a physiotherapist for a little bit over 30 years now. And I'm also a health coach. And I've been coaching now for about the last 10 years on these research studies through the University of Sydney with Anne and her team. And I'd like to talk today to you about this great study. It's active women over 50. Just a few pictures from some of the flyers that we've got. So are you struggling to fit exercise into your day? That's better. I can see it. Fit exercise into your life. So this is us researchers at the University of Sydney running this program to measure the impact of this study. And so looking at, do you want support to be more active? And I think a lot of people, we all know exercise is good for us. We know that, but it's really hard to get started and particularly to keep it going. I think some people start New Year's resolutions, those sorts of things, and then, you know, it's hard to keep it going. So I'll talk about the program, but later in what I'm talking about, it applies to everyone. So this program might be good for you if you're 50 or over. Unfortunately, or fortunately, if you live in New South Wales, it's for people in New South Wales. So for those of you who are not in New South Wales, I'm sorry that it doesn't apply to you, but we're hoping through the research that we're doing that perhaps it might be in the future rolled out to be something for the population, really, for women of this age group. So this woman here looks pretty fit and active. She would not be good for our research study because she's too active. So we're looking at people who are not doing more than 2.5 hours of moderate physical activity per week. And moderate physical activity, we talk as being, as Anne mentioned, it increases your heart rate and your breathing a little bit. They talk about that you would be able to hold a conversation but not be able to sing while you're doing moderate physical activity. And we're looking for people who would like to be more active and feel that they need some support and motivation around this. So it's a free program, and there are 4 parts to the program. So there are 2 health coaching sessions, and I'll talk more about the coaching soon, from one of us physios on the team. There's a private Facebook group, which is moderated by one of the research staff, and that's optional. Not everyone likes Facebook or Facebook groups, but it sometimes can be nice. I know with Silver Sirens, it's a wonderful community. So it's a community that we have there in the private Facebook group. We've also got a great website that we've designed that's got a lot of resources and information and inspirational videos. For example, the video there of Blohin. And also for 6 months, our motivational messages sent to you via text. You can choose whether you have it by text, and they come twice a week, or you can choose an email, either weekly, every 2nd week, or monthly. So there's some choices there. And I spoke to Blohin this morning, actually, just to ask her permission again, if it was all right to share the video. And I think she's such an inspiration. She's so courageous, I think, in sharing her story with all of us. And really, I love the bit where she says, if I wait for the perfect body at the perfect time, you know, she'll be dead. So really to look at what you can do now to be more active and not wait for things to be perfect in your life. So here we are, the 3 of us health coaches. So there's Kath, Gianni, and me. You might be able to guess we represent the decades 40s, the 50s, and 60s. And we all have experience in health coaching. We're all physios, and we're ready to talk to you. So what does health coaching involve, and what on earth could it have to do with Thelma and Louise? So it's often talked about health coaching that you are in the driving seat. So as participating in the health coaching, you're in the driving seat, and we're there to offer some support and yeah, hopefully not go over the cliff at the end. Hey, so what it involves is listening, us really listening. The sessions take around 45 minutes to an hour. The first session, they're only 2, and they're about 4 weeks apart at the beginning of the 6 months. So us really listening, and you having a chance to talk about how things are for you, your health, your life. Us really understanding. I know when people go to the GP perhaps, or physio, there's not a lot of time. The GP is really focused on what they can do in that 7 minutes or whatever they have with you. But it's really a chance to talk about what's going on. We work in collaboration with you and really looking at how we can help you to change things in your life to start to become more active. It's non-prescriptive. I know as a physio in the past saying, you know, you've got a sore shoulder, these are the exercises to do, this is how often you should do them. And, you know, time and again, people coming back having not done them because it's hard to get that happening. So we support you in sustainable lifestyle change and really looking at what is sustainable. The goals are selected by you. So everyone in the study sets 2 main goals around physical activity of things they would like to be achieving in the 6 months. So it might be, for example, to go swimming twice a week, or go for a 20-minute walk 3 times a week, or perhaps on some online exercise at home. The gym or exercise groups are not for everyone, but if they are, then we'd certainly support people in getting that happening. So we don't actually give an exercise program, but we support you in finding what's right. And really acknowledging you are the expert in your own life. You know how your life runs, you know where you have opportunities, you know what gets in the way of exercise, and we'll come to that. And we as coaches bring skills and knowledge to support the process of change. So what do we ask of people, the participants in the study? We ask you to fill in questionnaires and wear the activity monitor that looks like this. It's a little device you wear around your waist for 7 days, not at night time, just in the day. And this is an activity monitor. We can download the data at the end after you post it back in to us. And it's really important. We always say when people join a study and they know someone's measuring their activity, they think, oh, I better not sit on the couch too long because I don't want someone to see that's what I'm doing. We want you to do just exactly what you do for those 7 days. And that gives us a baseline measure of what you're doing. And then we get you to fill in forms, not in this old-fashioned pen and paper way, but actually online. We send you an email, you fill in the forms. Then you take part in the program for 6 months. And then you do the same at the end, fill in the questionnaires. We're really interested in your health and wellness, your mental health, your physical health, your health conditions. For some people, if it's relevant at their time in life, we ask questions around menopause symptoms. So there's a lot of questions to fill in. It probably take maybe 20 minutes or so. Okay, so to be eligible in the study, so a woman aged 50 and over living in New South Wales, healthy enough to take part in regular physical activity. And we also always say to be part of the program, the only reason around your health that you might not would be the very unusual situation where you might have been told not to exercise. So it might be, for example, unstable heart disease that the cardiologist is working with you to stabilize. But I have to say, in all the time I've been coaching, which is 10 years, I think I've not had anyone who's been told that they're not in a place where exercise would be good for them. You can use this QR code if you happen to have your phone with you there now, and you take a picture of this QR code. It will take you to the website where you can enter your details. The website there's Active Women Over 50, the digits 50.org.au. And the phone number there, 8627 6242, and I know that Faith can share that for us after. So women are welcome to be part of this if you meet the criteria mentioned earlier, and definitely not if you're already active. Quite often when we talk about exercise, we get people who are interested in exercise and very active already, but you need to be doing that less than 2.5 hours of moderate physical activity per week. I just wonder if we might have here, if people be happy to unmute, and if you would like to just perhaps say, just call out or put your hand up if someone could help me with it. What stops you from being active? Does anyone want to just let me know? What stops you from being active? Faith?
The old chestnut, time.
Time is a big factor for people. Yeah, that is the old chestnut, isn't it? and trying to find and prioritize time. Yeah, I can see Susan. Motivation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Actually do it. Get off the couch and do it.
Yes, for sure. That's a big one, isn't it? And a lot of people tell us that.
Betty, maybe we'll stop the sharing so we can see the women.
Yeah, I can do that. Thank you. Good idea. So we got time, we got motivation, we got Robin there. Thanks, Robin.
Yeah, what seems to stop me, and maybe it's an excuse, if I've got somebody else to do it with, I won't let the other person down. But when it's just me on my own, I'll come up with the excuses that it's too cold, it's too hot, whatever.
Absolutely. Yeah, the weather.
I agree with Robin, 100%.
Yeah.
Hard to get yourself going by yourself.
Motivation as well. And for me, unfortunately, you know, pain, knee, feet, back, whatever. And that would be an extra excuse.
Yeah.
So.
And it is working around that, isn't it? And finding out what might work for you.
Yeah, or I'd like to increase it, but I just don't get, you know, to the 6 o'clock morning swims with Faith. It's the thought of the cold water is, you know, just I think that's the main one. But
yeah. Thanks, Christina. Anyone else got anything different? Yes, Jill. Thanks.
I think because women, you know, often do put themselves last, and they're looking after so many people generationally over decades. I think what can happen also is that when they get that phone call, you know, the son-in-law's lost the job, or you know, whatever it is, or the grandchild's having problems at school, whatever it is, or the diagnosis of autism in a grandchild, whatever it is, we can ruminate, we can, you know, kind of, it stays front of mind, and that deflates motivation. We need strategies to kind of put it, maybe even wear, like in my case, it's like the New Balance 860s that I've got to wear to prevent plantar fasciitis. Sorry to go on, but it's like almost put them on straight away when you get the call and just head out the front door.
Yes, that's it, isn't it? Yeah. So finding ways. It's lovely to see everyone. Thanks for being here for this presentation. I'll keep going. I'm just aware of the time that we have, so I'll keep going. And I think, you'll see in this list that I have that many of what you've already mentioned, the things have come up. I'll just get myself back to where we're up to. Here we go. Okay, yeah. Sorry, I'm nearly there on my screen sharing. It was risky to knock me off, Faith. It's coming.
I'm regretting it.
No, don't regret it. Look, here it is. You're looking nervously. Okay, so here we go. So what stopped you from being active? And in all the coaching, I've spoken to a lot of people. So work for many women who are still working. Caring for others, I know that's been mentioned. Health problems, including pain, that can be a big factor. I call them the lacks, so lack of time, lack of energy, lack of support, lack of motivation, lack of confidence, and as people have mentioned, lack of an exercise buddy, someone to be with. Other things, feeling uncomfortable in your body, perhaps uncomfortable going to an exercise group, not feeling safe. I've spoken to people who, you know, haven't been able to walk during the day. They don't feel safe going out at nighttime in the neighborhoods they live in. Fear of falling, Anne's talked about that, and, you know, that can be a big one for people. Too much weather. So too hot, too humid, too cold, too wet, too windy, too icy for some. And procrastination, I'm quite good at that one, and I think that's a big one that comes up. And one lady I was coaching said for her, she said a sheer love of laziness. I love how she put it. And not knowing where to start for some people. When I looked at images for this, The last picture you'd see was, you know, that you can see what you might think of this lady as she's on the lounge or whatever she is there. And then when I looked up and found this picture, it was described as thoughtful senior woman relaxing on bed. I was thinking that's very interesting. Then I looked at more, and this one was called Tired Old Lady. I think she looks a bit pissed off to me, probably with the photographer. But anyway, moving on. And then there's a lot out there, isn't there, on the internet? So 5 awesome arm exercises for women aged over 50. Look at this woman aged over 50. I'm not quite sure that's true. And this lady, 10 best strengthening exercises, strength training exercise. She looks pretty happy, doesn't she? I certainly wouldn't be looking like that if I was doing that exercise. And 6 common over 50 fitness mistakes. I think this one's good. So a sort of bit random, no plan, doing things that are not for you. Lots of long, steady cardio. The research we know now that's not the best way to go. The intensity being too much, too challenging, sloppy form, so trying to do it in a rushed way and not doing strength training. We know the benefits of strength training. So practical strategies to increase physical activity. And some of these you would know if there's our happy woman doing her core exercise. So do something you enjoy. Set smart goals, so specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and timely. Creating a habit. Now, these are all things that we probably know. Make it sociable if you can. Track activity. Here's some very old-fashioned Fitbits in the picture. Get support, perhaps from a health coach. Start small and build up is so important. Some people just do too much too soon and put them off altogether. Keeping it up. Do something. Anything, something is better than nothing, and knowing that you're never too old. And yesterday I spoke to a lovely lady who's got so much going on in her life. She said, you know, I just kind of realized that this last year's been hard. She said, oh, you know, I had some atrial fibrillation, and then I had a couple of stents put in, and then she said my husband had an ankle replacement, and then she said my daughter was in a domestic violence situation and we moved her down. She lives in a rural area. We moved her down to live with us. And then she's got a couple of grandkids who are autistic, and then she also said that her husband had just had back surgery. And I thought, no wonder exercise is hard for her to manage when she's giving so much. So she said, I realize the bits and pieces are adding up with everything that's going on at the moment. It clears my mind. I'm taking it as time for myself. I'm now thinking of getting up and going for a walk for me. It's just something for myself. And finally, this cartoon, the exercise pill, I love this, to treat your high blood pressure, diabetes, hyperlipidemia, osteoporosis, take this new pill every day, take it out for a jog, then take it to the gym, then take it for a bike ride. I quite love that cartoon. So that's information about our research study, and just wondered if anyone has any questions at all. Yes, Robin, hello, yes.
I'm just getting ready to go on a little bit of a break and probably wouldn't be able to do anything straight away. How long does before it closes that we can make a start?
Oh, okay, so we are going to recruit 1,000 women. We're up to about 300, and I'd say, whereabouts do you live, Robin?
I'm in central West New South Wales, so I'm near Dubbo.
Ah, that is fantastic, because we're going to have 500 women in urban areas, and 500 in more rural areas. And we're really looking for more rural areas. So this would be ideal. How long are you having the break for?
6 weeks.
Oh, that's plenty of time for us.
Okay.
So what you could do is register your interest through the website. We're probably going to be recruiting over, what do you think, Anne, at least the next year to 18 months?
Oh, yeah, well into the end of next year. So
yeah.
We've got lots of time, Robin. We'd love to include you.
Yeah, we sure would. And I forgot to mention, because it's a research study, everyone at the beginning sets a couple of goals, and that can be enough to get people sort of started and going. But we have 2 sides of the study, and it's completely at random which side you're in. So for half the women in the study, they start straight away with the 6 months or the health coaching calls and the messages. But because we need to compare it, half the women start after 6 months. But the good thing is everybody gets something. I've worked on research studies before where, you know, half the people don't really get what they'd like to get. So just so as you know, half start straight away. You cannot choose which side you're in. We cannot choose. Half start straight away and half start after 6 months. But I've really noticed with talking to people and them setting their goals, even that fact of deciding to be in the study and setting the goals really gets them started. And I always say no amount is too small. Everyone's at a different place. You know, for some people, it might be a 10-minute walk twice a week, and that's more than they're doing now. And that might be, for them, that might be a challenge. So there's all sorts of different goals people set depending on, you know, where they're at and what suits them. It's got to be something that suits you. And that's very much about us not being prescriptive. And I think for people here in this study, in this talk, I think it's really good to think not just about yourself. I know, Jodie, you're in Western Australia, so sorry about that for our study. But if you can think of anyone, I know it's terrible, isn't it? If you can think of anyone in New South Wales, it might be a relative, might be a friend, you know, you might suggest it. But people have to be kind of ready that it has to be their decision, of course. Yeah. And Jill, you had a question.
Thanks. Thank you, Betty. Great talk. I was wondering, with the research over time, what is it to show benefit from financial incentives, given cost of living crisis, people in midlife are right in the thick of it, with health insurance premiums and things like that for people who do commit to an exercise? I mean, it'd be pretty hard to surveil, but I was wondering where the research is on all of that.
So do you mean, yeah, I mean, as part of the research, we actually evaluate the cost of delivering the program and also the benefit. So how we do that is we get people to report how many health service visits they have each month. And so at the end of the 12-month follow-up of everyone, we can look at what benefits people found or what the difference was between the group that received the intervention and the group that had to wait, which is the control group. And we can then marry that with the data that we have around the cost of delivering it, but also the costs of how much health service use there was. So we do what we call a cost effectiveness analysis. And that's really important because if we find that this program does increase physical activity and has those other health benefits, we need to show that it also is not too expensive to deliver it. And then we would go and lobby for the government or for health services to deliver it as part of their usual care. And so we need to have that information to show it is worthwhile. And in the long run, it would save money in terms of people going to hospital or visiting their GP or whatever. Yeah, so that's an extremely important part of it. And we're really committed to taking that next step. We don't want to just do the research, publish it and walk away and do something else. We really want this to have an impact on people's lives and on the, you know, government policy and all of those things. We're really hopeful that can be the end product of it all. And we're also recruiting through things like we've got our flyers in the breast screen services, and we're looking at other ways of advertising the study in places where it may be down the track, it could be delivered in that way in usual care. So, you know, a person turns up to breast screen for their mammogram. Why are they not receiving information about improving their health in other ways as well? It's an opportune time to do that, to get that message out there. So yeah, we're trying to think ahead of how we could implement it. Yeah.
And I've just seen in the chat, we've got a few messages there. So I know we have to finish soon.
So
Julie.
Sue, no, just a message from Sue. If we read Sue's and we'll see if we're going to.
Oh, we're going to go from there up. Oh, so question for Sue. She's saying, any quick tips to make strength-based training less boring? I've been unable to sustain my physio program because I literally find it boring, even with a great playlist. Yeah, I think that a lot of people can relate to that, Sue. Yeah, it's a difficult one, isn't it? When the boredom is what stops you from doing it. I think in the coaching, what we would talk about is in the bigger picture of why you're doing it and why it's important, what difference it's going to make for you in the future. So I guess the simple answer is no, I don't really, because it is boring. But looking at why you're doing it and finding there's other ways to motivate you to get over the boredom. You know, sometimes if there's something online, depends on if it's very specific exercises, but putting something in online like the yes to next video, that can be helpful. Yeah, but I'm sorry, if we had that magic answer.
Yeah, I mean,
we might be out of work.
I can relate, Sue, because I have a gym membership and I'm not really a gym person, but I started it to get more strength training and, I find it quite boring. But I've been trying to join up some of the group-based classes. So there's a few where you use, you know, light weights and barbells. And so I don't know whether if you have a gym membership, if that's on offer, but that's my suggestion. But I agree, it can be boring. But then we do a lot of boring things in our life. We clean the house and that's boring. And we cook dinner. Often I find that boring, but I push myself to do it. So I suppose you just have to say it's important, it's boring, but I'll do it. I don't know.
And just going backwards in the messages, if that's all right. Is that all right, Faith, if I keep going through them? Yeah, yeah. So I see from Trish, bad luck, you're in Queensland, but how wonderful. I think I saw you live on the Gold Coast, and what a lovely place to be. And sorry you can't be part of it with us. And Julie, have you got your camera on? I just wondered if you could give us a wave. But Julie, I can see, is in the study. And since start,
Yes,
you'll be more active. Can we see Julie? Oh, hi, Julie. Hi. So since starting in the study, you've been more active, even a fast walk around the shops or arriving early to group activity. It's great. And going for a walk. And you've been randomly assigned to the second group. So your coaching starts after 6 months. So it's really good to hear that even joining and setting the goals has been helpful. Yeah. Are there any? I thought there was one more.
Yeah, Christina has her hand up.
Yes, Christina.
I don't know. Do we have a little thing where we can put our hand up? So I joined another group because of the fact that I found joining a gym isn't 100% for me.
Mm-hmm.
I'm always the one in the class that always needs that little bit more support. And I hate to be, for want of better words, targeted. I want people just to leave me alone. I'll do what I can. I'm actually turning up. And that for me should be good, but unfortunately, it's not always the case.
Mm-hmm.
So to avoid all that embarrassment, I've linked on to Older Women's Network.
Ah, yes.
And they have a yoga class. They've got a chair yoga, which I do. And that's what I'd like to look forward to, more online stuff we could do together, because I'd love to participate. But sometimes, as you saw, I'll turn the video off because I might be embarrassed or whatever.
Yeah.
Something I can't do in a physical class.
Yeah. And I think those online groups are really ideal, aren't they? Because you're still a part of something that's live. It's
Absolutely.
happening now. You're connecting with other people. And I think I looked at the Older Women's Network have some great resources.
Yeah, they do.
Online classes.
And it holds you accountable, and I need that.
Yeah.
I need that. Sorry, I've got someone at the door.
Thanks for that comment. That's really good to hear the way you find around it. Yeah. And Trish, 2 hip replacements in the last 7 months. Well done. Well done having them both. Yeah. It's a big thing to go through. And Julie, the Farnwood Girls Only Gym was positive. Good. And a good idea through women's sheds, free classes. I've been to Tai Chi and chair yoga. Yeah, thanks, Julie. I think it's always good to talk about it and always good to know other people are, other people have similar difficulties, and it's really working. I always say to people 2 quick things. One is there's nothing more important that you can spend your money on when you've got a roof over your head, you're fed, those needs are obviously very important, but nothing more important to spend your money on than your own health. I think we look at, we buy a new car, we spend money on the family, money on clothes, and a lot of people are reluctant in prioritizing themselves, and spending money on themselves is so important. The differences in what you do now can really set yourself up for the 5, 10, 15, 20, 30 years ahead. It's so important. I often say to people, your 80-year-old self will thank you for the decisions you make now to look after yourself.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. Betty and Anne. And just to respond to Trish, you know, I think about how boring it can be going to the gym or doing any form of exercise. And I always think that I can look for my stimulation elsewhere. You know, I could just make that just something functional. And like you said, Betty, it's an investment in the future. And that's what I see. The women that age the best, the ones that put in this extra work right now. So boring or not, it's like I can get my stimulation from somewhere else and just go and do my half an hour just to get through. And I think it's a mindset thing, whatever we need to do to tell ourselves to get through, so we do it. Beautiful. Thank you. So we're going to wrap up now. Everyone okay? Any last minute question? Anyone want to add anything? Or Anne and Betty, any last minute words?
I just want to say thank you so much for the opportunity. It was lovely to meet you all, and yeah, have a great day, and hope you get active in a way that you enjoy.
Yeah, beautiful.
And I just wanted to shout out to people who might be watching this later. I know a lot of women are working, and so are Sarah, and so a big hello to people who might be watching this later. And yeah, we're here in our team to support you if that's appropriate. And for other people, just look at this community here. Everyone's trying to do the best they can for themselves. And I think sometimes just knowing that you're part of this community, there's a lot of women who are going through similar things, and we're all doing our best to look after ourselves. So well done for what you're doing and being part of Silver Science. What a great thing to be doing for yourself.
Fantastic. And thank you, Active Women Over 50, for being our 2023 sponsor. So we really appreciate that support. And we hope that, you know, we continue the collaboration.
Right.
Fantastic. So have a wonderful day, women. For those of you in Adelaide, I'm going to see you in person on Saturday for our first South Australian event. Totally sold out. Everything's all ready for you. So Sue and a few other women, looking forward to giving you a hug in person. And everyone else, I'll see you in 2 weeks' time for our homelessness feature, where we've got 2 women that have had lived experience of homelessness or housing insecurity, and an expert share their experience with us. So even if that doesn't relate to you particularly, could be really nice to hear their stories. So I hope you can join us for that on the 15th, 16th of the month. Okay, I'll see you soon. Have a wonderful day.
Bye.
Thanks, everyone. Lovely to see you all. Thank you.